Hello and welcome to the e-learning session. So from this lecture we are going to start our new system, that is GIT and hepatobiliary. So for the GIT and hepatobiliary, the first lecture is about diarrheal disease, introduction and laboratory diagnosis. So before starting to the lecture, we will see the resident microbial flora of GIT. So this figure shows the gastrointestinal tract. This tract is divided into the two parts. One is upper GIT that contains only lactobacillus and streptococci. Streptococci will be present into the oral cavity, while lactobacillus is present into the stomach. Then the lower part of the GIT that contains the small intestine and large intestine. As you can see here, the small intestine, the pH of this is 4 to 5, and it contains the lactobacilli, E. coli, and Enterococcus faecalis, while the large intestine contains the lactic acid bacteria, bacteroids, and other bacteria. The pH of the large intestine is 7. Then the introduction of the diarrheal disease. The diarrheal diseases are one of the leading cause of illness globally that causing significant morbidity and mortality. Worldwide, about 1.7 to 5 billion cases of diarrhea occur per year, with 1.26 million deaths, that accounting for the second leading cause of the death globally. So here are the list of the diarrheal diseases. The first is diarrhea, then dysentery, then traveler's diarrhea, then persistent or chronic type of diarrhea, then gastroenteritis, and at last the food poisoning. So we will see this all type of diarrhea in this lecture. So first we will see the diarrhea. Diarrhea is defined as passage of 3 or more loose or liquid stools per day in excess than the usual habit for that person. This definition is according to the World Health Organization. It may be caused by microbial infection or as a result of other gastrointestinal disease such as inflammatory bowel disease or celiac disease. Acute diarrhea usually lasts for less than 14 days, most often caused by the viral agents, that is followed by bacterial or parasitic agents. Common microbial agent causing diarrhea uh, uh, are Vibrio cholera, E. coli, and other. We will see these etiological agents in next slides. The second type of the diarrheal disease is dysentery. The main difference between the diarrhea and the dysentery is dysentery is characterized by diarrhea with increased blood and mucus, often associated with fever, abdominal pain, and tenesmus. Tenesmus is a feeling of constant need to pass stools despite an empty colon. So here are the common agents that causing the diarrhea. So first we will see the non-inflammatory diarrhea. The location is proximal small bowel. Illness is mostly a watery diarrhea. In stool findings, we will not see any leukocytes. So here is the list of the bacteria that causing a non-inflammatory diarrhea. The first is Vibrio cholerae that causes the cholera, then E. coli, then Clostridium perfringens, then Bacillus cereus, Staphylococcus aureus, etc. While there are some parasites that can also cause the diarrhea, that is Giardia lamblia, Cryptosporidium parvum, Cyclospora, Cystoisospora bailey. So this type of parasite mostly causing the diarrhea in the HIV patient where there is a lower immunity. And there are some viruses also that can cause the diarrhea, that are rotavirus, norovirus, etc. And helminthic parasite, that is the Ascaris lumbricoides, then hookworm, then strongyloids, Enterobius vermicularis, tinea, etc. So in the case of inflammatory diarrhea, the location is colon or distal small bowel, and illness is dysentery or inflammatory diarrhea. The bacteria that can cause this type of diarrhea is Shigella, Campylobacter jejuni, Enterohemorrhagic E. coli, Enteroinvasive E. coli, while in the case of parasite, there are Entomoeba histolytica that can cause amoebiasis, then Melantidium coli, Trichuris jejuni, Schistosoma, etc. Then penetrating type of diarrhea, the location is distal small bowel and illness is enteric fever. The example of pathogen that are involved in this enteric fever is Salmonella typhi. There are another bacteria that is Yersinia that is cause typhoid-like illness. Then the third type of diarrhea is traveler's diarrhea. Traveler's diarrhea is most common travel-related infectious disease. It occurs about 20 to 50% of the people where they are traveling from temperature industrialized countries to tropical regions of Asia, Africa, and Central and South America. In the clinical presentation, most cases begin with the first 3 to 5 days, characterized by a sudden onset of abdominal cramps, anorexia, and watery diarrhea. The illness is gradually self-limited, lasting for 1 to 5 days. Here is the list of microbial agents that is cause the traveler's diarrhea. So the bacteria, virus, and parasite all can cause the traveler's diarrhea, but the bacteria is predominant into the list of etiological agent that can cause 50 to 70% cases of whole traveler's diarrhea. So the first and important is enterotoxigenic E. coli that can result for 10 to 45% of the cases of traveler's diarrhea, which is a single most important agent. Then enteroaggregative E. coli, that is emerging enteric pathogen with worldwide distribution. While Campylobacter jejuni, that is more common in Asia, Shigella and enteroinvasive E. coli, that is a major cause of dysentery in the traveler's diarrhea. While on the other hand, norovirus and rotavirus can also cause the traveler's diarrhea, but this virus is associated with the cruise ships and common among the children. There are some parasites that can cause the traveler's diarrhea, that is Giardia lamblia, Cryptosporidium, Entamoeba histolytica, and Cyclospora. Then the next is persistent and chronic diarrhea. Persistent or chronic diarrhea is diarrhea that lasts for more than or equal to 14 days, which is usually 2 to 4 weeks, is considered as persistent or chronic. Chronic diarrhea usually lasts for more than 4 weeks. That may result from the infections due to various organisms. Like parasites, example of the parasite that causing the persistent and chronic diarrhea is Cryptosporidium, Cyclospora, Entomoeba histolytica, and Giardia lamblia. Then bacteria are Aeromonas, Campylobacter, Clostridium difficile that can cause antibiotic associated diarrhea. Then viruses such as cytomegalovirus, which is common in immunocompromised hosts like HIV. Then fungi such as Microsporidia, which is most common in immunocompromised hosts. Then another type is gastroenteritis. Gastroenteritis or infectious diarrhea may be defined as inflammation of the mucous membrane of the stomach and intestine, which is resulting in combination of diarrhea, vomiting, and pain abdomen with or without mucus or blood in stool, fever, or dehydration. Then the next one is food poisoning. Food poisoning refers to an illness which is acquired through the consumption of food or milk which is contaminated either with the microorganism or the toxin. The specific mechanism will be we will learn into the specific organ lecture of the specific organism. The inoculum size where there is an pathogen differ from each other in their infective doses. For example, Shigella, enterohemorrhagic E. coli, Giardia, or Entamoeba histolytica. In that cases, 10 to 1000 bacteria or cyst will be enough to cause this type of infection. While the Vibrio cholera, in that case, 10 raised to 5 to 10 raised to 8 bacilli will be there for causing the disease. While in the Salmonella, the infective dose or the inoculum size is 10 raised to 3 to 10 raised to 5 bacilli. Then adherence. Adherence to intestinal mucosa that will help the organism to compete with normal bowel flora and thereby colonizing the intestinal mucosa. This is crucial for pathogenesis of many diarrheal diseases such as enteropathogenic E. coli. Then toxin production. There are some toxins, that is enterotoxin, cytotoxin and neurotoxin, that will cause the diseases, diarrheal disease. Enterotoxin that cause the watery diarrhea by acting directly on secretory mechanism in the intestinal mucosa. For example, cholera toxin or E. coli that will cause the various type of toxins. Then another type of toxin is cytotoxin that causes the destruction of the mucosal cell that will leading to inflammatory diarrhea. Example is Shigella dysentery type 1, enterohemorrhagic E. coli and Clostridium difficile that will cause the toxin B. While the neurotoxin that act directly on the central nervous system that producing the vomiting. Example is Staphylococcus aureus that will cause the enterotoxin, Bacillus cereus toxin and Clostridium botulinum toxin. Then invasion. In addition to the production of toxin, bacterial invasion is another mechanism by which destruction of the intestinal mucosal cell take place resulting in dysentery. So here is the list of the toxin, that is enterotoxin, cytotoxin and neurotoxin, and the etiological agent that can secrete this type of toxin to cause the diarrhea. And at last, the laboratory diagnosis of general diarrhea. The first is specimen collection. Fecal specimen is collected in screw cap wide mouth container, and while in carriers a rectal swab may be collected. Specimen should be transported to the laboratory within 1 hour. If a delay of longer than 1 hour is anticipated, the fecal specimen should be collected in transport media like Kerry-Blair medium or alkaline peptone water in case of Vibrio cholera. Another important aspect of laboratory diagnosis is microscopy. In microscopy, we will see the color of the specimen, consistency of the specimen, then presence of blood, presence of mucus or pus. Also, we can see the presence of adult parasitic forms like Enterobius, Ascaris or Taenia segments. While in the case of wet mount preparation, in saline or iodine is done for detection of pus cells, RBC, and detection of parasitic cyst, trophozoite, egg or larva. Then there is another method, that is hanging trough preparation. It is done specifically for Vibrio cholera to see the darting type of motility, which is a characteristic feature of the Vibrio cholera. Then we can also see the parasite or the bacteria are present into the under the gram stain smear. Gram staining of stool specimen is not routinely done because of the presence of normal flora. It is recommended only in special situation like where the typical morphology would suggest a preliminary clue for diagnosis. For example, presence of gram-negative coma-shaped bacilli, that is Vibrio cholera. And also we can see the gram-positive budding oval yeast cell in immunocompromised host or an infect that is suggestive of Candida species. Then we can also use the modified acid-fast staining that will be useful for detection of oocyst of Cryptosporidium isospora and Cystoisospora, that is a parasites. We can also use the electron microscopy for the detection of the different type of viruses. like rotaviruses, astroviruses, and also the coronaviruses that have cup-like depression on the capsid surface. And the culture, for that we need a special type of culture media. A fecal specimen should be inoculated into the enrichment broth, that is selenite F broth in alkaline peptone water, then mildly selective medium, that is McConkey's agar, and highly selective medium, that is DCA, that is deoxycholate citrate agar, XLD agar, that will be useful for Salmonella, while the TCBS, that is thiosulfate citrate bile salt sucrose agar, that will be specifically useful for Vibrio cholera. We can also use the sorbitol McConkey agar when there is an outbreak of E. coli O157 strain. Identification will be done with the help of Malitov or Vitek instrument, that is automated methods for detection of the bacteria. Then AST, that is antimicrobial susceptibility test, which is done to choose the appropriate drug for treatment. Then antigen detection. Various test formats are available to detect the microbial antigen into the stool. The first and very important is ELISA, which is available for detection of rotavirus antigen in stool. Then also rapid tests such as immunochromatographic test for uh, antigen of Entamoeba histolytica, Giardia, and Cryptosporidium into the stool. We can also use the latex agglutination test that will be useful for detection of E. coli O157 antigen into the stool. And at last, the molecular method. The first is PCR, that is polymerase chain reaction, which is to be useful for detection of specific genes of enteric pathogen. We can also use the BioFire film array. It is a fully automated commercial nested multiplex PCR. Its GI panel is useful for detect common bacteria, virus, parasitic diarrhea, and pathogen. This slide shows the how we can prevent the diarrheal disease. The first and very important is improve hygiene. So wash your hands as and when required. Second is routine vaccination. Then the health education about the diarrheal disease, how we can prevent the diarrheal disease and how they are going to spread. Then food hygiene. So good personal and food hygiene is very important to prevent the specific diseases that can be spread by the contaminated food and water. Then exclusive breastfeeding for first 6 months to the child. And at last, you acquire the safe water or an adequate sanitization. Treat water before use and dispose the waste safety. So this is how we can prevent the diarrheal disease. So with this, I'm going to end my lecture. Thank you so much for the listening.